Of course, here's the rewritten version of the article in English, presented in a speech-style narrative with more than 50 natural paragraphs, flowing without numbers or instructions. The day began with a hesitant rhythm on the Australian share market. Investors weren't quite sure which direction to move in, and the uncertainty was palpable. From the opening bell, the market swayed, edging upward one moment, drifting downward the next. It was a delicate dance between caution and opportunity. By the time trading ended, the ASX had slipped just 0.1%. A modest decline, but one that reflected the fragile confidence of investors navigating a complex economic landscape. Wall Street's overnight wobble hadn't helped. Traders in New York had reversed course after early gains, and that hesitation rippled into the Pacific. Meanwhile, in another corner of the financial universe, something extraordinary was happening. Bitcoin had soared, not just a small gain, but a historic leap, cracking the $120,000 barrier for the very first time. Crypto markets lit up. Traders and commentators scrambled to make sense of the surge. Was it ETF activity, institutional buying, or simply the return of speculative euphoria? No one could say for sure. But one thing was certain: the digital gold was gleaming once again. As Bitcoin rallied, traditional markets took note. Gold prices held firm, the US dollar softened slightly, and Australia's own dollar floated up to hover around 67.35 US cents. In China, fresh trade data offered a spark of optimism. Exports had jumped unexpectedly ahead of a looming US trade deal deadline. Shipping volumes surged, particularly to Europe and Southeast Asia. Manufacturing output ticked up. The dragon seemed to be stirring again. This data powered a rally in Chinese markets. The Shanghai Composite Index closed higher. Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index notched up a third straight day of gains. Yet, across the Pacific, caution still reigned. Futures markets in the US were pointing downward, down roughly 0.6% across all major indices. Investors were bracing for more signals from the Federal Reserve. Would inflation numbers continue to cool? Would Jerome Powell offer any clues about interest rate cuts? In Australia, the mood was mixed. Mining stocks faced headwinds as commodity prices softened slightly. Iron ore dipped, lithium slid, but not everything was gloomy. Tech stocks found support, particularly in the AI and digital innovation sectors. Startups in the generative AI space saw renewed interest. Meanwhile, property trusts came under pressure. After recent gains spurred by falling bond yields, investors took profits in some of the larger REITs. Trading through the afternoon slowed. Volumes thinned. The market entered a holding pattern. Then, as the final hour approached, selling picked up slightly. It wasn't a panic, more of a gentle exhale. A sign that investors were happy to wait for stronger signals tomorrow. As the closing bell rang, Australia's share market had gently deflated. The day had brought movement, but no clear direction. Still, stories were written in the margins. A new Bitcoin milestone, a surprising Chinese trade rebound, a nervous glance at Wall Street. After the markets closed, ABC's business blog wrapped up the day's events with calm analysis and sharp insight. The tone was thoughtful, the message was clear: markets are jittery, yes, but not broken. They're watching, waiting, reading the signs. At 8:45 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, The Business with Kirstin Aiken would dig deeper into these themes, offering viewers a closer look at what really moved the markets. And then, in the early hours of tomorrow, the ever-energetic Dan Ziffer, perhaps caffeinated beyond reason, would greet Australia with a fresh wave of financial news. Whether markets rise or fall, one thing remains true: the cycle continues. The world spins on, the charts keep ticking, and amid all the numbers, there are stories. Stories of ambition, of risk, of hope, of fear. Stories written not just in dollar signs, but in the decisions of millions. So that was the day. A day of minor moves, major headlines, and subtle undercurrents. A day where crypto stunned, China impressed, and Australia paused. A day that reminds us, even when the market moves just 0.1%, the stories it tells can be far bigger. And tomorrow, a whole new chapter awaits. Let's see what it brings.